Welcome everyone to Terraria, and to a series that I'm going to call The Quest for Zenith. So let's get into it. I'm going to create a new character here, and I just kind of decided to random a character, as I don't really care, but I did select classic mode as I think it fits best, and then as you can see I just randomized a bit until I got a character that I thought was quite nice. So then we went on to world creation. I decided to go with a random seed, going for a large world, and then everything else was standard, so classic world on a random world type, as I don't really care whether we get corruption or if we get the demonite. Then we started generating the world. And with our world now created, I decided to head in. So immediately I started harvesting some wood to make myself some wood armor. I always do this when I start a new world, as it can save your life, potentially, because it is just kind of a basic 3 defense. I farmed up some stone, and I started exploring, looking for surface chests, because they can have some really helpful early game items. As you can see, I was just also kind of skimming for some ore patches, and then we found a cave. And I decided to head into the cave, maybe check it out for a few surface chests, but then I was quickly distracted by kind of just exploring. I do really like the caving system in Terraria, but we did discover something important, that there is a snow zone directly to our right. So I started heading down, and it was going pretty well actually. And if you see here, we actually found like a surface life crystal, which is pretty much the luckiest thing I've ever done. I always get really unlucky with my life crystals, generally not getting any, or I'll probably get like half of them before the first, or after the first boss, which is the Eye of Cthulhu. However, my luck did not persist, and as you can see, a blue slime dropped down, so I went to fight it, and this is where my first death happened. It was very sad. As you can see, crushed by a boulder trap. So after making my way back, there was actually 2 pinkies that were in kind of the area before my loot. So I had to fight them, and if you guys didn't know, pinkies are quite tanky. I'm pretty sure they have about 150 or 250 health, and this took a very long time. The footage you're seeing right now is an 8x speed, so it took way longer than it actually looks. After killing the pinkies, I decided to go back down for my loot, and we actually got about 2 gold for killing them, so it was sort of worth it. And after grabbing my loot, I decided to go down further into the cave. Thankfully, the game decided to be nice, and in fact gave me another nice present. And if you look here, in the sort of left of me, I just noticed, as you can see there, a life crystal. And this is extremely lucky. Keep in mind, I'm only about 5 minutes into the game now, and I've already found 2 life crystals, which is really, really lucky. So continuing downwards, we discovered a Granite Location, which I don't really like, because they have those really powerful granite elementals that can fly through blocks and do a lot of damage early game. But anyway, as you can see, I was getting attacked by a worm here, and the worms are quite annoying because they can just dive back into blocks, and sometimes they don't pop up for quite a while. But after eventually killing the worm, I decided to dig into the granite zone. After digging into the granite zone, I first noticed that there was a worm somehow down there, but there was also a ton of enemies. I don't know if you guys can see it, but they were sort of in that cavern underneath me. So I decided to continue going on, actually hitting a little bit into the snow zone, which is very, very dangerous early game. Actually, here we discovered a ferry, which was quite nice, because the ferries lead you to some treasure, so I decided, you know what, let's go over there. And I was lucky and unlucky at the same time. I think you guys will understand in a little bit. And there we go. My second death is to a trap. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a consistent theme about this, but I am really bad at spotting traps. But after making our way back down, we hopped onto the chest, which doesn't activate again, thankfully. And after building a path down so that, just in case there was an enemy, I opened the chest and we got some pretty good stuff, including a magic mirror. Magic mirrors they're an okay loot item from gold chests. They let you teleport back to your spawn point, which in our case is just the base starting point of when you load into the world, but it's still better than nothing. As you can see here, we just discovered a mine track, and these can be very, very good, as they kind of just span a horizontal axis on the planet, so you can find a bunch of chests very quickly. Unfortunately, here we got quite unlucky, and we didn't find a single chest. We did, however, find some topaz back there. I don't know if you guys saw it, but we'll go get it in a second. However, I nearly died there, as you can see. I quickly used a health potion and went back to go loot the topaz that I saw earlier. Getting this topaz was quite lucky, as I had found a little bit of topaz earlier, so I can now make a gem hook when I return to the surface, which is the early form of a grappling hook, which I quite like because grappling hooks let you reach things that you could previously not. We also discovered another life crystal down here, which was pretty good because that brings our total health up to 160 within about the first half an hour of starting a game. As you can see here, though, I was starting to get encircled by enemies, so I decided to dig my way up and try and make my way back to the rails. I thought that the rail would continue a lot further right, and I was actually wrong here. So I quickly decided to use my mirror and teleport away, as I would have died if I had stayed there, as there was two decently powerful mobs there. So I quickly built myself a little bit of a wooden shack, and I started putting down some storage, my work table, and stuff like that. I just kind of wanted to get some crafting done while it was nighttime. And after smelting, using the iron I had gained, I built myself a iron broadsword, an iron pickaxe, and an iron chest plate, as, you know, it was a pretty good upgrade. I then decided to kind of just farm around my house, getting some stars for the night, before we headed out during the day to go explore. Heading off to the right of the map, I wanted to explore more to the right because I knew there was a snow biome to the right, but I didn't know if there was anything else after that. And for some reason, most of my worlds seem to have the dungeon on the right as well. So I wanted to see if we could get to the dungeon quite early, and it would be quite helpful for when we wanted to fight Skeletron. We quickly reached the snow biome, which was blizzarding at the time, which was quite painful. I don't really like the weather effects, at least the visual. I really like the unique mobs that spawn during. I'm pretty sure the frost golem in hard mode spawns only during blizzards in the snow biome. So we quickly made our way up, and I would like to mention that earlier I said I crafted a sword, a pickaxe, and a chestplate. I also crafted a topaz gem hook, which I mentioned earlier, because it's quite helpful for traversing terrain. Leaving the snow biome, I discovered another cave, and I decided to go down to see if there was any more surface loot, and it didn't really look like there was, so I decided to head back up. After venturing more to the right, we discovered that we do have a crimson instead of a corruption. Now, personally, I don't really mind which type of world I get, but practically, the crimson chest in hard mode that's in the dungeon is far better than the corruption one, as you can get vampire knives out of it, which are some of my favorite weapons. I do really enjoy the vampire knives. So we quickly made our way through the crimson, and we actually got really lucky finding our first bits of surface loot a bit later. As you can see here, we discovered our first surface loot chest, which is quite nice. We didn't get great stuff, but we did get a wand of sparking, which I believe is the first magic weapon you can get if you don't count the slime staff. After continuing on a bit more and killing a few more crimson mobs that were trying to harass us, which is just not very nice, we discovered 2 living trees next to one another, which is quite good, as they always contain chests. Our first chest was pretty bad, only netting us a blowpipe, but there was at least, I think there was 2 more chests, and from the second chest we got a decent amount of stuff, mainly in potions and such. As you can see, there was 1 more chest here, where we got ourselves a spear, which at this point in the game is pretty useless because we have ourselves an iron broadsword. Also, apparently gnomes now spawn in the living trees, which is really a nice touch. After slaughtering the gnome, we decided to continue on to the right, and we actually did find the dungeon, which is quite lucky. So I broke the pots inside. Remember, don't go down or you're going to get murdered horribly, which is really just not that fun. And then we discovered 1 chest at the entrance of a cave, and then we discovered another one even further in, which was quite lucky. You usually never get 2 chests in kind of a surface loot cave. After doing that, we decided to head back, and I think I'm going to wrap it up here.